I'm setting a good example. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the first licensing meeting of the new session. We have 9 newly elected members on the committee, and I welcome you all. I'm sure you'll enjoy your time on licensing committee, make a positive contribution, and be fully engaged. Licensing plays a key part in the local and nighttime economy and in protecting our local communities. Before we start the agenda, I'll ask everybody to introduce themselves. I'm Marion Chapman-Allen, and I'm the chairman. I've got Sarah Wostenholm-Smythe on my left, who's the solicitor, and we've got Julie Britton from Committee Services looking after us. So, Tina, could I start with you? If you'd introduce yourself and say which ward you are.
I'm Tina Cadell, Vice Chairman of Licensing, and I'm from Watton Ward.
Hi, I'm Keith Gilbert. It's my second term on this committee. I did it not 4 years before that, and I found it very interesting. It's the first time I've been on this committee, so in 30 years. So it was good. You'll find it interesting, you new people. And I'm from Watton.
Linda, could you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Linda Monument. I'm from Durham. I've been on licensing for quite a long time, and I always found it very interesting.
I'm Councillor Fraser. I'm from Attleborough, and I've never been on the licensing committee before. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Councillor Samantha Taylor. I'm from Attleborough, Queens and Bestford Ward. I'm newly elected.
I'm William Richmond, Durham Nethard Ward, and a returning member to the licensing committee.
Jacob Morton, new councillor for Swaffham Ward.
Hi, Kendra Cogman, Toffwood Ward, newly elected and new to this committee.
Thank you. And if I could move across to Helen.
I've got my microphone
Thank
on
you.
ready, Marion. Yes, I'm Helen Crane, St Anthony Ward, Executive Member for Licensing.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not an elected member, I'm an officer, so I'm Environmental Health and Licensing Manager. And I'm Craig Fowler.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Keith Mumford. I'm Team Leader for Food, Safety and Licensing.
Thank you, Keith. To the members that were at the last meeting, could I ask you if you're happy to agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 15th of March 2023 that can be found on pages 3 to 7 of the agenda pack? Agreed? Brilliant. Thank you. I'll just sign them. Thank you. Julie, do we have any urgent business? I don't. Apologies, sorry.
Thank you.
Do we have any apologies?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, we do have 2 apologies from Councillor O'Callaghan and Councillor Sherwood, and also from the officer Josie Hoven.
Thank you, Julie. It's a shame that Josie can't be with us today, but we're going to be looked after by Craig and Keith. Do we have any further apologies from anybody? No?
Can I just apologise for my lateness? My calendar showed up this meeting was cancelled this morning, which shocked me because you'd asked us to come. So I tossed up and I decided in the end I would come anyway, expecting to find the room empty.
Yes, I think that sometimes the diary is a bit confusing, Linda, because it's the committee of the licensing authority that was cancelled, and yeah, so
on my calendar it was both.
Oh,
that was what I found so strange.
Well,
but I've come anyway.
I'm very pleased you're here. Well, we don't have any urgent business. Do we have any declarations of interest? Non-members wishing to address the meeting? No, we've got the Cabinet member in attendance. We've done the team introductions. I'd just like to add on that we've got a very knowledgeable and experienced team of officers and elected members who closely work together, and we work as one team.
I think Keith was going to do a bit more detail on that one. Since where you were coming in.
Oh, well, I'd like to hand you over now to Keith. I was getting there.
Sorry.
I was getting there.
Sorry.
The team leader for food, safety and licensing, who's going to present teams' introductions and functions. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you very much, Chair. So my job really is to look after the wider team, and what I thought would be interesting for committee members is to see how we slot into the overall picture of the council. So this is quite a brief overview, but hopefully you find it quite useful. So Judy, next slide. So from our point of view, we're part of the Health and Housing Directorate, and sitting beyond that from a hierarchy perspective, we've got Steve James, Executive Director, Assistant Director Sarah Shipley. Then we move down to the service, which is the Environmental Health and Licensing, which includes environmental enforcement. And that just gives a picture of how big we are as a team and the sort of like areas that we cover. Service Manager is my colleague, Craig, sitting next to me, Service Manager for Environmental Health and Licensing. Next slide, please, Jim. So if we then look at the service, it's really split into two teams. So the first team, and which we're very proud of, is a food safety and licensing team, but also my colleagues in environmental protection as well. And so they cover sort of the noise nuisance and enforcement as well, ASB now. Plus, also, emergency planning, corporate health and safety, antisocial behaviour, which are now included within the service. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the team, it's really split into three functions. But at the top, where we want to concentrate on today, is a licensing element. So, for example, and I'll just briefly go through this. So licensing committee, licensing compliance is a big area, animal welfare, which is another big area, gambling on premises, street trading, but also under our wing is food hygiene. So it's all these ratings that we have to do, you know, who's got 5 ratings, who's got 4 ratings. Premises approval, we've got quite a few big manufacturers within the sort of like in our area, and we get involved in food exporting and so forth. Public health also comes under our wing, and we did quite a lot of work, just like so many teams, with COVID. And also avian flu, which has come in. And going down the list, which is really a sort of between licensing functions, is the registration of people such as people carrying out skin piercing, for example, which need sort of like registration. Next slide, please. So the reason for and the benefits of the larger team is we all work together, and it's a synergy. So, for example, if we go into a premises, it could be a premise license, it could be hygiene standards, and we all work together. And that's quite important, because more people we've got on the front line is they can feed back and give us intel, and hopefully you will do the same. So we know what's going on within the district, so we can act upon that quite quickly and quite robustly if we need to, with the support, obviously, with the chair, and get you know, your input as well when needed to. So larger team gives us resilience, and we can actually pull people from different areas in to help us. And it could be sort of like we do a sort of like operation where we go out at night or whatever it would be, working with the police and so forth. Safety advisory group is something that I think it's worth flagging up from a licensing point of view. We do a lot of work from that area. What is a safety advisory group, I guess, is the next question. It's all the big functions that we deal with. So every year we have lots of visitors come into the area, and we deal with tens of thousands of people, believe it or not, with big events that we have throughout Breckland throughout the summer, and we're coming to our busiest time now. And from a licensing perspective, a lot of them will require a license, and they would have licensing conditions, and somehow we've got to make sure that we've got compliance and we've got safety and people feel safe when they go out to these big events. Premise licence, well, if we're talking about pubs, clubs, we work together on that, and it's eyes and ears all the time as well. So what we try to do is be efficient with our work and working smarter all the time, and that helps us with resources. Julie, next slide, please. So now we get through to the licensing team. So me being team leader, the specialist we've got in the team is Josie. It's unfortunate she can't be here today. But also another specialist is Alan Goodhall, and he deals with animal licensing. But Josie is the specialist of the licensing function, and we will build into what her needs and one thing another, and we work with her to get all these premise licenses out and so forth. Licensing officer, we've got another officer that sits underneath that, and that's really into compliance side. And we certainly, from a broader team, we help that officer carry out inspections and visits. Sitting underneath that, we've got business support officers, which look after the whole complete area. But also we've got a lead licensing support officer that really specialises in the licensing function. So what are the actual areas of licensing? So this is a general overview. So policy, a lot of work is undertaken with alcohol and entertainment, pavement licence, animal welfare, taxi licensing, street trading, scrap metal dealers, gambling, and as what I've already said already, safety advisory group. We're very proud of our team, but it's much more important that you are proud of us as well. So hopefully we will fulfil your ambitions for us, and hopefully that will give you just a way into, how we fit in with the wider, bigger picture, if you will. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Keith. Will your presentation go onto the website? Yeah, that would be really helpful. That was a very informative presentation, Keith. Do we have any questions from members? Helen.
Yes, thank you, Keith, for the presentation. Yes, I was going to suggest it was given to members. The only thing I would say, it would be really nice if you could put the names of the people next to those particular roles, because there will be several who will have forgotten them, I'm quite sure, when they leave the room. So if the names of the relevant officers to the relevant roles could go next to their job titles would be useful, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Helen. Anybody else? No? Now we've got a licensing update, and in Josie's absence, I'm going to hand over to Craig, who is the senior licensing who's going to take the place of the senior licensing officer's update and provide a general overview. Craig.
Yeah, morning everyone. I'm just standing in for Josie, so giving you a general update. So welcome all to the committee. Hope you'll find it enjoyable. We think it's the best committee on the council, but we might be biased. So hopefully you'll get to play an active role in, as Keith said, in setting and reviewing licensing policies, procedures. So again, we've got some frameworks for and procedures for taxi licensing, alcohol, entertainment, gambling premises, street trading, and lots more really. So I think Marion will mention the training later, but we're organising some training. So again, once trained, if you want to sit on a licensing panel, there's panels and hearings. So this is a general committee meeting, but you'll get some hearings where you're getting into a little bit more decision making and of actions to take. So you may need to, you will need to carry out that training if you're going to sit on one of those panels. And one of those panels could be, for example, it could be on taxi drivers, it could be on operators or vehicles, it could be venues, shops, applying for a licence, it could be listening to representation, so somebody's making a representation either in support or an objection. And it could also be with reviews as well. So if somebody has a premises licence, an interested party or responsible authority, so police, fire, environmental health, trading standards, they can apply for reviews. So again, they might say, I don't know, it's particularly noisy, we're concerned about crime and disorder, etc., etc. The business is not, complying what they should be doing, and they're affecting sort of crime and disorder or nuisance or the local sort of community. So you might see it also on a review one. Okay, so yeah, we've got regular meetings. So we've got licensing committee meeting, and we've also got committee of the licensing authority. I think that'll be covered greater in detail, but generally licensing committee they are licensing council functions, which then you've got the committee of the licensing authority, which is generally licensing act and gambling act. When the licensing act was introduced, it set up the term of committee of licensing authority, because liquor licensing used to be done by magistrates, so generally taxes and all the other stuff. So really, committee of licensing authority is licensing act and gambling act stuff, so it's separate. There's lots of legal bits why it has to be dealt with differently, but we won't confuse you there for today. So as Keith said already, we work together as one team. Hope you'll help us to become eyes and ears on the ground for anything sort of licensing related in your wards. You might get intelligence about underage sales of alcohol, crime and disorder, illegal tobacco products, vaping, sometimes counterfeit goods, as well as alcohol sometimes, noise from licensed premises. And again, as Keith said, on the Safety Advisory Group, we have lots of events, so there's lots of big events that are going on in Breckland. And you may have concerns, or you might be contacted by people about, what about this event? I'm concerned. What about noise? What about, I don't know, air show with low-flying aircraft and all sorts of things that we do get, sort of queries from. So hopefully we can work together. We work also with a lot of partner agencies. So as we've said, as part of the Safety Advisory Group, we link into police, fire, trading standards, children's safeguarding, county council, highways, all of those are just some examples of our partners. We've also prepared, which we will hand out, a flyer there. So it's got a little bit of an overview of what we're waffling on about, really, what we're actually talking about. It does the functions that we've got, and there's some contact information in there as well for the licensing team. So again, we'll hand those out, and if you've got any questions on the flyer, we can answer them now, we can answer them later. But also, if you want to contact the team, we've also got an email and some information of how you can do that as well. And there's also, we've got a number of licensing web pages. We are bringing a number of online forms online as well. So again, you can get the information, but also if somebody contacts you and says, I don't know, I'm running an event, I want to apply for a licence, how do I do it? Well, yeah, you can do it all online. There's, you can do it all there. So that will signpost to that. Just an example of some of the things that we're working on at the moment as a team. So I think the Chair's just wanted us to update you on some of the things that we're doing at the moment. So as Keith said, we are traditionally into event season. They generally tend to be in the summer and probably sort of up to sort of Christmas time as well. But at the moment, we've got some big events. So things like there's a Maui Wowie, there's a Seno Park, we've got Wheating Steam Rally, we've had sort of, Snetterton gets lots of events with British Superbikes and, motor vehicle events as well. We're getting a healthy sort of flow of premises licence applications for on and off sales at the moment. We've been carrying out some sort of targeted visits to sort of known or suspected issues, so we've been just sort of dropping into certain premises where we've got some concerns or things have been raised to us. We've had some panel hearing for taxi licensing as well, so regarding that, and officer CPD refresher, so we've been out and about, also keeping ourselves up to date. And we're also working on public registers at the moment. So at the minute, public registers hopefully the first one should be coming online sort of next week. So we're bringing public registers so people can see what's licensed, what premises are licensed, if they're getting in a taxi or they've got a driver, are they actually licensed or not? So they can go onto the register and find out. Online forms, we're bringing those online. We've got a number already, but we're bringing that online. We continue to do some animal licensing support for another local authority. So our specialist animal licensing officer is assisting. That's an income generating, so they pay us for that. So that gets some pennies back to Brecklands. Can't go into the detail, but we've got a few sort of enforcement compliance cases at the moment that we're investigating, and arranging elected member training. So hopefully that's just a general overview of an update, the types of areas we get involved in, and I will just hand that flyer around now, which will probably give a little bit more detail. So if I pass that to Helen, I think there's just one sheet there, so if each member just want to take one of those. That concludes the update, Chair.
Thank you, Craig. Members, do you have any questions for Craig on his update? No? Well, that's fine. Thank you for that, Craig. Can I please remind the members that are here that very important training is scheduled to take place on Wednesday the 21st of June in the Woodpecker Room upstairs at 2 p.m. and you should all have received an invite. If you haven't, please come and see one of us after this meeting. The training will cover many essential issues such as what is in the public domain and what is not, valid exemptions to disclosure. There's an expectation that if you wanted to sit on the licensing panels when they occur, or the licensing hearing panel, you will need to attend this training. This will help us all to be confident in the decisions being taken, that they're correct, robust, and stand up well to external scrutiny. I hope that everyone will be able to attend. Sarah, would you like to add anything?
Just to say that it will be myself and Josie who will do the training. We hope it will be interactive and informative, and amongst other things, we will cover the responsibility of Breckland, why we have two committees and the separation of each and the responsibility of each, what we licence, what is above and below the line, as Marion's just said, and why, licensing objectives, human rights, more importantly, the panel hearings, what has to go before a panel hearing and the procedure, how to prepare, who is at the hearing, and what you should and should not take into account, and finally, appeals. Hopefully that hasn't put you off, but I think you'll find that hopefully that covers everything that you'll need to know, and obviously we'll be there to ask any questions also, so please come along.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, members, to the older members of the committee who will understand that when we have these panel hearings, they are very interesting and very varied. So, as I said, when you've done your training, I will be able to then welcome you when an email comes out from committee services to say that there is a panel hearing, and if you'd like to put your name forward, then 3 members and 2 members and the chair. So it's not a vast number of people. So it will be 2 from the committee, and it will be either myself or Tina that will be chairing. So now we will move on to item 8 on the agenda, taxi fees and charges. Oh, sorry, Helen. You should have waved.
I did wave, but you didn't see me, but that's fine.
I wasn't looking.
I just would like to add a little thought to that if a resident who has a business or taxi or anything in the district has to come up in front of a panel, I think it would be fair to say that the expectation of that person would be that our members have had training. Therefore, it is vital that training is done to make a confident decision. I hope you'd agree with that. Yeah.
Tina.
Yeah, and also, just to add a point, that if something comes up in your ward, you can't be there if it's somebody that's in your ward that's in front of the panel. So as many people as possible to be trained, because if it's something in Thetford and no one from Thetford, we can't use the Thetford people, we'd have to use everyone, anyone else. so that we need everyone trained so that we can sort of cover it, you know. So and it really is interesting, very varied.
Keith.
What I would say to new members, don't be frightened of it, because I've sat on a few of these panels and it is very interesting. And in fact, one day I turned up and somebody, there was a name there, when he walked in I knew him. So I had to declare an interest. And yeah, don't be frightened of going on a panel.
Thanks for those encouraging words, Keith. If we don't have any other questions, we'll move on to item 8, which is taxi fees and charges. At the licensing committee held on the 15th of March, it was resolved that the increase in fees would be deferred until this meeting and that officers would bring back additional information. I'll now pass over to Craig Fowler, the Environmental Health and Licensing Manager, who will provide us with an update. Thank you, Craig.
Hello again, just when you thought it was safe, I'm back again. Okay, so yeah, I apologise, I've got a bit of an annoying tickle there, but yeah, just to remind previous committee members, as part of the council budget setting process earlier in the year, all fees and charges across the organisation were looked at, and an inflationary increase of 6.5% was recommended to be applied based on advice from the Treasury. This included licensing fees. A consultation exercise took place with the taxi licensing trade. 14 responses were received. These raised concerns with the proposed fee increases, particularly that the fees were increased significantly in April 22, the year before. So these fees would have applied April 23. At the licensing committee on the 15th of March, it was resolved that the increase in fees would be deferred until the next meeting, which is this meeting, and that officers would bring back additional information. So since the last committee meeting, legal advice has been obtained regarding the proposed fee increase, and the advice that we've received concluded that whilst we'd undertaken a thorough fee setting process, a more up-to-date methodology should be used to ensure that any proposed increase stands up to legal challenge and or external scrutiny. So the work involved to review the fees based on this new methodology will be detailed, and it will take some time, and will include the need for some refresher training. So what we're going to recommend as officers, I'd recommend that the committee allows the officers sufficient time to enable them to complete the necessary work, to ensure that any fee increase is in line with the legal advice that we've received, and that therefore no fee increase is implemented in this financial year for Hackney carriage and private hire licensing. In addition, I propose that officers will return to the committee later in the year, once the work is complete, to update on any proposed new fees and the next steps.
Thank you, Craig.
So that concludes that update.
Craig, I understand that the legal advice is from a leading licensing lawyer, and I think it would be very prudent to follow this advice. There were some concerns raised by the trade about increasing costs, and if we follow the officer's recommendation, this will mean that the trade will not see any increase in fees within this financial year. Subject to officers working closely with me on this matter and producing a timeline and a clear plan of action for me and the relevant portfolio holder, I would like to suggest that we follow the legal advice and the officer's recommendation that this will stand us in good stead for the future, ensuring that we as members receive the required assurances with the fee setting process and are following current good practice which stands up well to external scrutiny challenge. Do we have any comments or any questions? Tina?
I'd just like to thank the team for coming back, listening to the trade and listening to the committee and actually coming back with a good, clear plan. And I think that's testament to you guys as being a really good licensing team, of which we are proud of. So, guys, thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Linda?
Can I just check that when we say there will be no increase, even if this work is done in 6 months' time, there will still be no increase for the full 12 months, so that the trade knows it will not have a an increase suddenly sprung on it?
I believe it's going to be a yearly review. Craig?
Yeah, basically timeline-wise, what we would do is we would come back and we would link in to next year's budget setting process. So basically, in answer to your question, yeah, we would start obviously sort of November, December, January, but actually it wouldn't be applied. So it would go to, the decision would go to full council in February 24, so it would then be applied from the 1st of April next financial year. So in answer to your question, no increase this year, and we would then do our work, link it into next year's process, and then move it forward, if that's clear and that helps.
Thank you. Questions, anybody? No? We're happy with that. So, Craig, that's fine. We will follow the timeline and let the consultation commence. Have we got any other business? Sarah? Tina? No. Well, I'll thank the members for, especially the new ones, for attending today. I look forward to seeing you at the training on the 21st. And I'd like to close the meeting. Thank you, Julie.